Gold prices falling slightly ahead of the Fed's interest rate and possible stimulus announcement. All right, Tim, we have a couple options for the Fed here. Operation Twist, lowering the reserve rate on banks, pushing them to lend out cash rather than hoarding it, or a full-on stimulus. What's the picture for gold based on these three options?
I think it's pretty good on all of them, because if Operation Twist is put into effect, there's no guarantee that the banks are going to lend. It's going to drive people potentially away from the long end of the curve, and potentially it's going to drive them into gold.
Mm-hmm. And then what about if obviously we get more stimulus, that's going to be good for gold, but what happens if they just sort of do something more modest, like lower the reserve rate? Nothing doesn't really move the markets either way. Where does that leave gold?
I think we've seen gold slightly retrench in the last few days. Most of it's to do with the USD strength, and of course we've had a little bit of weakness, which is why I've tickled up a little bit now as well. But I think the gold has maybe just paused here. I think the investment case has not gone away. We have seen Italy downgraded in the last few days. Greece is striking again. Still, there's very little good news out there.
All right, now short term though, we could see gold sell off if equities push higher, if they sort of feel better after a Fed announcement. How long does that last for gold? When does it start looking at Europe again?
Completely depends on the capex. We all know companies are sitting on a lot of cash. We also know banks are hesitant to lend still, so something's got to give in the middle. Either the capex has to dramatically increase, which will obviously give banks a little bit more stimulus and a little bit more impetus to actually lend cash as well. But if this doesn't happen, which the way we're going at the moment looks pretty unlikely, I think the case for gold remains the same.
All right, Tim, and you were recently at the LBMA conference. What did you learn? What was the trend there?
The trend is that we've seen many new investors come into the gold market. It was commented that the ETFs, which of course ETF Securities is one of the companies at the forefront of that, have actually helped democratize gold. That's not the word they use, but it's the word I'll use on it, that it's allowed so many more people into the market, and therefore so many new investors have come into the gold scene.
Now, interesting, I was just recently at the Denver Gold Forum, and CEOs were very reluctant to give their price targets, and I wondered if that was the same in the conference that you were at, or if the theme was much more bullish.
Price targets were given, but it was always given very much as in a bit of fun. So I think the general view on gold is that gold will track higher. I think we're going to see that 2012 may be a repeat of 2011 with the global economy. We've seen the IMF reduce growth as well, growth stats globally, and still, the debt crisis is here and banks still don't lend. So where do we go? It looks like we go into gold.
All right. Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate it. So gold is taking a little bit of pause here, but should push higher.